Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Movie.
And Vita and Chip and Culpy.
So in the finale of our We're Making Up for Our Late Patreon picks, this is Bathory. We did a Bathory song before.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
This is a black metal song. Fine Day to Die, and Oden Rides Over Nordland.
This is
Oden's Ride Over Nordland.
black Viking thrash metal.
Yeah.
A true cult pick.
Yeah, so we're getting up on our joint.
Yeah.
So Oden's Ride Over Nordland is going to be a instrumental, and then Fine Day to Die is so it's the first two songs off the album. Blood, Fire, and Death.
Sliding one in there on us.
Yeah, yeah.
And we see what you did, but we're late.
We'll allow it.
So we'll allow it.
We'll allow it.
And shout out to Damon. He's a bad man. He's the one that's uploading this to Trello for us.
Yeah, he's uploading it, and
click on the friggin' link, put it up in there.
Yeah, he's making sure that we have everything perfect. So
yeah.
Shout out to Peter, and
Oh, Peter's the one that got us hooked up with
Peter's the one that got us hooked up to Trello. Initially, I was like, "What's the point of it?"
I remember you were saying that.
And now it's like it's actually pretty convenient when we're trying to get ahead. Okay, so let's do it. If you want to see this one behind the scenes, check her out, My Story Life. If you want to see me and my political commentary along with this one, check us out, Middle America Vin and Sori. Very excited about that channel. We got merch.
Yep.
That hoodie, man, I can't wait till that hoodie shows up.
I know. We'll do like a grand opening thing for you guys, and we've got a little flyer and stuff like that. We just have to. We gotta wait till Monday to get some actual assistance. Anyway.
Okay.
And go. Makes me feel cold.
Yikes. This is probably the heaviest black metal song I've heard. Black metal isn't usually like heavy.
Real heavy.
Yeah, it's usually like the, like a lot of the tremolo picking. It's not usually heavy like, like Batushka or Miguel. It's not like heavy. It's I don't know how to describe it, but this was heavy. This was like I love that main riff. And then at the end when they played it and the drums took over, I
did like that drum part a lot.
This is the heaviest black metal song I've heard so far. Thus far.
I like the at the beginning what it sounded like, and the horses were that was an interesting add-in.
Why?
Have you heard horses in a song before?
I figured we'd hear horses because it says Oden's Ride Over Nordland.
Fine.
So
Fine. I didn't expect to hear horses.
I didn't think he was going to be riding a car.
You're so mean to me. I just never thought that I would hear horses in a song like that, so that was surprising. I was like, that's interesting. I liked the beginning part a lot. I don't know what we're singing about. I see all these people up in the clouds and the birds are underneath them. They're
it's about jihad.
Oh, that kind of last ride?
It's about war. The elder looks into the flames. He says, "It's a fine day to die. Tomorrow's a fine day to die." And then now the morning advanced from far east. Now the sun breaks through dust clouds and haze. Now a forest of spears appears on the hill and still shines bright in the sun's first rays. That's a good line. A forest of spears. Whoo! I wish I could find all the like really, really amazing lines and put them all in one book.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really, really like that line. A forest of spears appears on the hill. That's legit.
And steel shines bright in the sun's first rays.
That's
I like the sun's first rays.
That's badass. So this is about pretty much the night before war, before jihad is. The elder spoke among the men, looked deep into the fire.
What did you say that video? Whoa.
What?
It was called what?
A Fine Day to Die.
I thought there was something about Oden.
Yeah, the instrumental was Oden's Ride Over Nordland.
Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh, a fine day to die?
Well, yeah. I mean, remember when we were watching Vikings? That was a big thing. You want to do jihad and then die and go to Valhalla.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, they did.
It's what you say when you're outnumbered, I guess. Or even if you weren't outnumbered, I mean, if you really thought that dying in conflict, in armed conflict,
was the way to do it,
was an honorable way to go out and whatever, then it's kind of like I think soldiers get into that headspace. So there's a whole
I wouldn't know.
There's a whole thing that you go through where you have as I knew this guy who was in the Black Hawk Down situation, and he was talking about he was holed up with a group, and he said he was certain that they were going to be overrun, and then the woman kept pointing at him and saying, "They're over there, they're over there," and he said, "The next time she does that, I'm going to kill her." Because she was giving up their position.
Giving up their position.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so he said, she did, and I did.
Oh.
But then he was certain that he had, I think they had like 3 or 4 magazines between like 8 guys or something like that. They were all holed up.
Gosh.
But they, he was like, okay. And he basically, I said, well, so he was going to run out of, they were going to run out of ammo. And he was like, well, it's just like we did in training. He's going to use the butt of his gun because you can kill people.
Yeah.
You ever seen, I think I told you that a couple, you've seen the movies where the guy goes and hits the guy with the butt of the gun and then just get knocked out and they wake up and they need an aspirin. Like, that's not how it is. Like, you could kill somebody. Two good shots of those and you're dead.
Ugh.
Like, you can really, really kill somebody that way. But, of course, if you're getting overrun and these guys are all messed up on cop, forget it. So he basically said, like, he went through that whole stage where it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then he just made peace with the idea that he was going to die. He was going to, that's it. So he was like, you know, because they were in a city.
Yeah.
And there was 100 of them.
And he died?
He was supposed to, no, because he's my buddy. He's, you know, we talked.
Oh.
He was explaining what happened. He was about, you know, and then they had the famous Mogadishu Mile or whatever. But he basically went through this whole sequence in his head about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, we got this much left, and da-da-da.
Oh my God.
And then there were already a couple dead people there, so they stacked them, they put them up by the windows and stuff.
Their own people?
Yeah. They were dead.
Yeah.
So he put them up by the windows and all that, and he was.
I think it's smart, but it's.
He was in a tier 1 group. I mean, they were.
Wow.
You know, they were machines. Those guys. And he was certain that they were gonna. He was certain. He did interviews and stuff like that, but he never talked about that thing.
Really?
Yeah, obvious reasons. But he was certain that they were gonna, you know. So he said, well, he said he didn't say a fine day to die, but he was like, I was just pissed that I wasn't gonna see my daughter because he had just had a little girl.
Oh.
Before he went to Somalia. He's like, I was just pissed I wasn't gonna see my daughter, but other than that, I did everything I wanted to do in the military. So
wow.
He was just like, all right, well.
Wow.
So I don't know how much of that. So that makes me believe like there's some ideologies that are centered around war. Now I was listening to Jordan Peterson and he was talking about that most sports are war/hunting games, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he was talking about soccer, which soccer's a projectile, and you got to aim properly, and you got to use teamwork and strategy and da-da-da. And so it's like everything is either a war or a hunting game. Football, obviously, there's you know, then there's straight up combat sports that are just you know. And so it was very interesting to me. So when you combine the fact that human beings have always been at war, we've always been in conflict with each other, with the
even our games are
right.
Yep.
With the desire for spirituality, and then the inevitability of death. When you combine, when you triangulate that, it's kind of like, okay, then you're going to create religions or ideologies that glorify dying in war because you don't have another option if that's the way that the world is for the most part, and you don't have, you know, the United Nations or whatever, then
your worldview has to include something.
It has to include dying in jihad.
Yeah. And
it's very interesting to me that in the Old Testament there is a lot of war, but there's never you don't get anything special for dying in war in the Old Testament. I think that's very compelling.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't get it. As a matter of fact, you know, the greatest warrior in the Old Testament is David, and then he's told that he can't build a temple because he's killed too many people. So I think that's unique in the Old Testament, actually. That there's no hero worship of somebody who falls in war.
Yeah, yeah.
Jonathan falls in war, and David sings about him, but it's always portrayed as a tragic, even waste of a life because he didn't have to die like that, but he had to stay loyal to his dad. Spoiler. So I think that is interesting that for an ancient Near Eastern religion that there's absolutely war there. The warriors are not. You don't get a special place in heaven. You don't get anything for dying in war in the Old Testament. It happens. The sword devours one as it devours the other. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Shoot, and even the martyrs in the New Testament.
Well, martyrdom.
They're hanging out under the altar.
Yes, but they're. It's the opposite because martyrs in the New Testament are exalted. They get an exalted position. In Revelation 20, they're the only ones mentioned as coming back in the resurrection in Revelation 20. You know, so martyrs do it, but of course martyrs are not fighting back. They're just going like lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking out loud. It's very interesting. But here, it's realizing, they probably realize they're outnumbered, and they're like, well, today's a fine day to die. I think a lot of these folks, because when you're in those,
must be a way to settle your mind.
Yeah, because when you're in those units, you do not think you're ever gonna, you know.
Yeah, you hear them say it in the interviews all the time.
You You never think you're gonna, whatever. And the people that even make selection for those groups are like the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%, especially in as a Delta operator, because those guys are like Princeton to DevGrew's, community college. I'm sorry.
That's what I was gonna say.
I'm sorry, but it's true. So I think the psychology is different for Americans because we just think we're gonna make it out. Most of us think that we're, especially if you're. But these guys, they knew that if you're outnumbered, if you fight fierce enough, because the weaponry was kind of even to where if it came down to your ferocity and your will to win, you could get out of there. You could possibly get out of there alive, but it was also a very big chance that you could win the battle, but as an individual, the chances are very high that you were going to die. And so before you went off, you just had to make peace with it. And everybody, I think
that must be a weird thing to know. I'm going to die.
Right.
Like, we all know I'm going to die. Like, I don't think I'm going to live forever. But, like, if that moment was actually close,
it's
how strange.
It's a fine day to die. Like, you're going to die tomorrow. You're going to die tomorrow. Like, that's insane.
Remember there was that pilot that was crashing? And he said, it's a beautiful something.
What a wonderful feeling. Yeah, it was a World War II pilot.
Day.
Yeah.
I have a feeling something terrible is coming my way.
Something's not going my way. Yeah, and he crashed and he died. Yeah.
Well, it just made me think because I don't know why I made that connection, but that story like popped into my head, and so I said it.
For a while, the Germans had dominance in the air. They were taking care of business. So you kind of knew if you went up there that it wasn't going to go well for you. And he was singing it when he went down. For sure. Yeah, so I just, Orgy of Silence, Conspiracy of Peace. This guy, whoever he is, can write his ass off. Orgy of Silence, Conspiracy of Peace, Only the Sound of the Cold Northern Breeze. Very good, strong stanza to but yeah, have you ever been in a situation where you thought you were going to die?
No, I've gotten close to death, but I never thought I was going to die.
You didn't think you were going to die?
No. I always had that feeling of invincibility. You know what I mean? Is that the correct word? Yeah. You know? I never felt like I was going to die. It's actually just like a recent thing where I'm like, I could die. Like, that's a weird thing. Like, literally all my life, I always felt that my death was within my control. And maybe that's because I always had, like, issues with suicide. So I always felt like it was, like, mine. You know what I mean? Like, I always thought, well, I'll rob myself of the day. I didn't feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, whoa, like, we like, watched that, in our show, and the woman died in childbirth, and I was like, whoa, like, that, something like that could happen. Then I'm like, no, this is, like, modern medicine. Like, this doesn't happen nowadays. But I'm like, that, like, lots of women had to worry about. That was a big, big thing. Like, that was, like, it was very, very high at some point. So, but yeah, so like I just think, you know, and then today, like I used to be better at like driving and like doing something, but like I think like right now,
I just stopped texting you.
I'm like, huh?
I just stopped texting you.
It was literally at that point, but that's what made me keep looking at my phone because I was waiting for an answer, and so I was like looking at my phone, and then I heard. And I had gone over those things. I was headed straight for the ditch. And so then I overcompensated. And then we're in the SUV. Well, I'm in the SUV. So it was like going like this. I'm like, okay, all right, put everything down. I'm just going to have to just leave it. Just focus here. But that kind of like, again, like that, you know, that was today. So I was kind of like, whoa, like I could have flown off the road and crashed. And like, so I never had thoughts like that before. At least I don't think I did. Why have you thought, I could possibly die right now? Or did you kind of always feel like you were going to make it out?
No. There are a few times when I was like, we're going to die right now. But I didn't, so here we are.
When you get out of that situation, is it...
When I was in those situations, I felt nothing. After, I was like, what the fuck?
Which emotion is what the fuck?
It's impossible to describe. When you're like, stuff is happening, you're like, ooh, this is a rush. And then you're like, we're gonna die. And then there's no rush. It's just, and then when you know that you're out and you're okay,
What?
It's a great. There's not even a word for it.
There's no
I don't
words.
even know.
He has the best words, and he has no words.
It's a very strange experience.
Yeah, that's like that time I
a
went
friend
flying.
come to me. He said, "Hey," he goes, "What you guys are feeling right now? 99% of the world will never feel it. Be grateful." I was like, "Are you serious?" Thank you.
Was that helpful in any
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not helpful at all. No. I had a buddy, he's like, yeah. I was like, you full of shit. I don't want to be around any of you people. No, it wasn't helpful at all. Not at all. Especially, anyway, move on. Good song. It really, I just love this tradition. I love the Viking tradition.
I know
I
you
love
do.
it.
Just
I love it. I like the samurai tradition too, and of course it has to do with the show Vikings, and I understand that they're taking a bunch of
liberties,
artistic liberty,
yeah.
But I just love the. I just love it.
Well,
I think I've got my own kind of background and my ancestors, and I'm very connected to them as far as that goes, but they had a very advanced for their time articulation of how to conduct warfare. And I respect that and I admire that a lot. So. Well,
they also had they had the combination of heart and skill.
Right.
And they put off this all the Vikings put off a masculine energy, or at least the majority of them in the show. I've not met them in real life, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where the samurai, they don't put off a masculine energy, they just put off a very skilled, artful, yes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're more like the Vikings. You're skilled, but you have that masculine energy that just I was watching you when you were messing around with Dorian when you guys were playing Madden, and just the way that you stand or the way that you hold your controller, everything is just always very masculine. I'm just never. I never see you have a moment where I'm oh, that's a very feminine looking trait. You don't have any. I don't think you have anything that you, whatever. And then so, then sometimes I picture okay, what if you had the type of personality like somebody who the other one, where you would just be very insecure and not projecting masculine energy very well and stuff like that, and it totally makes somebody look very different. Your energy
it's true.
It racks you up quite a few points. I'm hey, I need to stop acting so insecure. I'm hey, fuck that.
What do you give the song on that note?
I'm having a little bit of trouble because I didn't love it all the way through. There were some parts where I was kind of meh. So, I don't know if I'm at a 7.8.
How dare you?
What are you at?
This is a 9.8 for me.
Whoa!
9.8 for me.
You really liked it.
Yeah, I really, really, really like the song. And like I said, black metal usually isn't heavy, at least to me. Not this degree of heavy, which I think Damon said in the description that it was black Viking thrash. So there's still some thrash element there to keep it still heavy. But I mean, this song was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. 9.8 for me.
Black Viking thrash metal. You're right. Good memory. 9.8 for you?
Yep.
Good thing. Why? I already said my thing.
Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone. I forgot. I'm the guy.